or ending up dead. But it was in that moment of darkness where I realized I need to make a bigger decision. I need to make a decision of what I'm going to do with my life. But it took me going and speaking to the people who were my elders and saying, and exactly telling them what I'm telling you right now on camera, is that I've had enough, and that, you know, my mental health at the time wasn't in a good place. I wasn't able to speak to any of them ever again. I wasn't welcomed. I was actually advised to stay out of the area because I was actually able to get out of the situation.
Broke out of that fear place. This is what you see now. Now that they got the drill, they got the pills, they got a whole bunch of other things. They're in a way the rise in drill culture, the explosion in the aesthetic nihilism that we see is almost like them kind of saying, you know, look, that's them saying that they're not scared anymore.
And the other part of it is it's super weaponized, and your biology is of such. The only way that you can survive in your teenage years is to have that Riri brain. That cortex of your brain is not really fully developed. You are more concerned when you little. I remember feeling that I didn't care if I died as long as I was around my friends. As long as I'm around one of y'all, we dying together, or I die like this, boom, because then people will remember me. That's the only thing I cared about. And that's part of that's that part of that adolescent mind that seeks acceptance from others. You heard? Is constantly seeking acceptance from others in a very tribal way to become or to find one station within their social construct. And where am I at on the hierarchy is what you be looking for in that young mind. And then what's the thing missing from it is that the music, you know, music is a tool of ritual and a tool of initiation. So now their brains, them little brains, irrational minds, is being trained and drilling into their mental, you heard, all of these irrational contextual frameworks for what strength and embodying the human drive, what is this serpent that the artist chases. They got them thinking that this angst and all of that directed at themselves and their brother is an actual cultural thing, and it's really a pathology.
So the death clause is legal protection for the record company in case its star blows off prematurely. Let us see some examples of death clauses in music contracts. 1. Companies shall have the right to secure insurance equivalent to 10 times the estimated value of the artist's earnings, from any source of revenue, for the company's sole benefit. 2. Companies shall be allowed to employ any insurance carrier or combination of same to assure this benefit and need not consult or require signature compliance from the artist. 3. Artist or artist's estate shall have no right to review or claim the benefit of any such policy obtained by company. In short, the record label will take out a life insurance policy on the artist and reap any benefit if the artist cannot comply with production requirements. But what happens if the artist, being alive, cannot comply anymore with the company requirements? What if illness, the drugs and violence that ravage the scene, or maybe this is what they want us to believe? Put your opinion in the comments below and subscribe.
But now it's even crazier because they getting life insurance on artists. At least back then we didn't have that.
Somebody told me that.
Yeah.
Is a label signing an artist in good faith taking a life insurance out of him?
No, you praying on his death, praying on making millions on his death.
Or are they being realistic though?
Both. They're being realistic, and they, you know, you're supposed to have life, you know what I'm saying, life insurance anyway. When the label does it, if you don't have one, that's crazy.
In the newest visual from the Weeknd's Dawn FM.
Nigga, I've saved myself or I die trying. It's just some of them died in the ocean being thrown off ships. Some of them died in Rosewood because a white woman screamed, "It was a nigger." I'm not waiting for a savior. Nigga, I've saved myself or I die trying. It's just that simple. I'll figure out how to save myself. And see, those are the words of a fucking coward. You push fear. I don't push fear on you niggas. I say get prepared. Get ready. Because I think you forgot. I just told you that there was a dude that created a car that ran on water. Another one created a machine where you could actually make water out of the air. Stop. Better scratch your nails outside. Technology came from you. So the same way they can make a robot that's shooting a gun, nigga, you make one. Duh. Well, I gotta spell it out. If they could create a robot to bust a gun, you could buy a drone to bust back at that shit.
In this clip, I'm gonna tell you what really is an African drum and why people play the drum. In Africa, the djembe is not only for music playing. They include the djembe in all celebration, wedding, birthday, everything. And also is not only the instrument to play for wedding or birthday, but also an instrument that they use as a phone. They play it to leave message to another village and make everybody come together. For example, if they have an announcement to do, one leader is coming to the village, the drummers come and play the drum and have everybody around them, and they start telling the message. So drumming is not only to get on stage and play. And also in Africa, they compete a lot about drumming. They have many festivals that they use the drum for people to compete against each other.
Because the drum, it is not the beat. It is the spaces in between the beat, which is the nothingness, to bring you into the other dimension. Drum gives you the ability to hear the nothingness, the spaces in between the beat. And it is the spaces in between the beat is what you hear. The gods are responding to the spaces in between the beat because it opens up a doorway that they can come through based on the drum or the bass, which is still percussion. It is the spaces in between the beat which gives you the other dimension coming through. You see? So clearly, our classical music of the 20th century is the most healing form that crackers all over the earth is benefiting from now. We got Puff Daddy. Vinyl, any kind of rubber, any type of vinyl, any type of plastic, when it is first made, it is clear. Anytime you get it to a darker hue, you have to cook it down to its most carbonated form. And what is melanin? Carbon. 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. Carbon. So you have to cook it down to its most carbon form. That's what the black tires on your car. Then you understand why black people go crazy over cars. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I had a damn uncle, 1968. He came home and my grandfather said, you realize you drive your car, that nigga like lost his mind. We do or we don't. You know, we savages on that level. Now, anyway, you have to cook it down to the most black aspect of the carbonated aspect. And so an album, number one, it was round. Look in the wings of the staff of Tahuti, and you will see what? You'll see 2 wings of what? A black dot. An LP or 45 was round. That is a form of a black dot. Now stick with me on this. On an LP, you have grooves, which means you have an actual recording. That means that when they originally recorded it, whatever sounds came, the needle or whatever it was that recorded it, the device actually made a recording. It's an actual recording dug into black vinyl, okay? Which is vibration, which is pure carbon. In a round disc. First of all, that made the shit round. They was like, oh shoot, never really learned. You see what I'm saying? Now, in the part about Harpocrates, which is supposed to be the food, the Egyptian god Harpocrates is a little god with a thumb in his mouth, sitting on a lotus, which is Horus the baby. The baby Horus, you ever hear the baby Jesus? Yeah. The baby Jesus. Well, that's Horus, a Heru, with the thumb in his mouth called Harpocrates. You even get the word hypocrite, the Hippocratic oath, all that comes from Harpocrates. You ever hear the god Cupid? You know the god Cupid is the baby Horus, called Eros in one thing, Cupid, Eros in Greece, Cupid in Rome. That's the baby Horus, or the baby Jesus. Now, Harpocrates is known as the fool in the Tarot deck. Crowley has something that's so profound in the book under the Fool, and it says, because it was one of the only explanations I got on a level that started talking about on a level. Y'all want to wait till you put that in. This is very important. This is literally the crux of the actual lecture, which bring me into my odyssey that I had to go on in the spring of the year. Because we're going to bring this thing down to realism right now in a few seconds. I want to just get this. You on? Okay. Harpocrates is the fool in the Tarot. In Crowley's book, right under the Fool, the book of Thoth, he says, gives one of the greatest explanations for the Heru or the Horus lock. He said the Horus lock is not necessarily dealing with the hair itself, but it is suggesting that the Horus lock, you know what that is? You ever see the little Jews with the little, for the people don't know, they got a little lock of hair. Well, they are copying that, well, the isn't really, the fake Jews are copying that from the ancient Egyptian practice of the child with the Horus lock, or the Heru's lock. He says in the book that the Heru's lock is not necessarily based on hair, although we know that that's the whole melanin thing too. He said, but it suggests something on the inside of the ear. First thing I said, well, there go your pineal gland, but that's where it's going to end up. And he calls it the Bara Randra chakra. You see, now deal with this. He says, he's dealing with the child Heru in the book. He said that the Horus lock, or the Heru's lock, is not necessarily dealing with the hair itself, but it suggests that the Heru's lock is dealing with something on the inside of the ear called the Bara Randra chakra. And he goes in and says that this particular chakra in the ear that the Heru's lock is suggesting. This Bara Randra chakra is the highest level of Akasha spirit. Now you got to go back and see what the word Akasha. If you go, the word Akasha, Akash means black. You get the Akashic records, you get the word Akash, and then you used to also get your girl in the movie Queen of the Damned was called what? Akasha. And what happens? Akasha gets killed. Okay? And that whole thing was a big ritual. We talked about this, I think, the last time. It was a big ritual with your girl. She was 22. The goddess Maya is the number 22. You know, that's the balance of the scale. You see, Akasha. Akasha became the first vampire when a god named what? Amel. A-M-E-L, which is a real entity that what's her name got when she wrote the book, when she read the book, The Lost Cities of Africa. Lost Cities of Africa.